So this is something that I genuinely really want to see Lotro really improve upon is how they're able to go about some of the older content. Now, I don't know if this is something because in the developer guide and like the roadmap, they had talked about they like talked about more some QOL changes coming that was going to make older content better. I don't know what that exactly is going to look like. They didn't really give a ton of details and they don't tell us like what those details are as like as part of the content creator program. Um but like I want to see in Lotro something similar to what FF14 does, which is where they make it where you if you were running old content for like dailies and stuff like that, you scale down. So, like, let's say for instance, I was wanting to do some raids to work on my LI reward track. Okay. Um, and I was and I was level 100, for instance, you know. But I could queue up for a raid and I could do Rift, and rather than Rift because it's a non-scaled instance, they scale me down to that level. And so then you can do that raid with low level friends. You can do that like that lower level content without having to worry about either running an alt through all the landscape again to be able to do the raid or that content again. And you also don't need to be so overpowered that it ruins the fun for somebody else. Or in the instance of how Lotra is right now, if you get too over leveled, you just make the content completely and totally obsolete. And like that's something that I really would like. Like I want to see things where Lotro can make older content stay relevant. And I don't know if that's something that they are planning on doing, but that is just like a hope that I have. Because I think it's a way that will not make people burn out of newer content. That's a huge thing. And it will help to make like it would be something like it would be a way that wouldn't uh would be a way that would make older content not completely obsolete, would keep it relevant. It would be a way that would make it easier for other players to help other players, and it would help with new content, not like for people who really grind raids and dungeons and things like that. It wouldn't create this burnout because if you're constantly grinding this content over and over and over again, and you're sometimes you're running the same dungeon constantly, and like that's not fun. Nobody's gonna want to do that over and over and over again. So I think that's a way that they could genuinely really improve upon that system, and I would like to see that because again it would really just make some more of those older content things. It would make older content more relevant, and I think that would be more fun for people and would really help to prevent some of that end game burnout. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. That's just kind of my thought process that I have. I genuinely love the way that FF14 has handled those things. And I think that if Lotro could handle those, then like if Lotro could do things in a similar vein, it would work out really well in their favor. They would need to downscale gear. Like I don't know what it would look like from a development standpoint. That's the only part that I don't know how we would handle. Like, I don't know how that would work. Because I'm not a game developer. But it would be cool to see it happen. So that way, high level gear can be downscaled. And it could just be overall like a really, really fun way for players of all skills to get together and run content. Because I do genuinely think that Lotro has some of the best and most welcoming community when it comes to learning how to do content. I genuinely think Lotro is one of the best. And so I really want to be able to figure out, like, I want to be able to come up with ways that will help to get some of those really experienced players in running content with lower level players without having to, like, make them come out clawing and scratching and kicking and screaming. So SWTOR does this thing where certain quests, if they're repeatable, like heroics and like daily quests and things like that, will give you like gear boxes and things when you complete them. That scale to your level regardless of the type of content. So even if, like, for instance, you're at cap at level 80 in SWTOR... Oh gosh, I'm gonna die. It wouldn't let me pop my heal. But let's say, for instance, in SWTOR, you're level 80, and you are running heroics on Tatooine. Tatooine is a level 20 to 25 planet. So when you were in Tatooine, you were scaled down while you were running while you're on that planet. But whenever you get your gear for completing those daily quests, you or your like tech fragments and stuff, and like the currencies that you get for getting like late game, end game gear, that still scales to the proper level that you are. And I think for content that would be considered repeatable, such as raids and stuff, that type of content should be stuff that the while you might downscale to accommodate for whatever content you're doing, the raid or like the gear, the rewards will scale to your level. I don't know how that works from a development standpoint, again, because I'm not a developer. I'm never going to claim to be a developer. I don't want to like sit here and say, oh my gosh, this is a really easy thing to do, but I would like to just see that. Like, the gear would still, like, the gear reward would, scale to your level. So if I was level 100 and I ran Rift, using that as an instance again, because that's the only raid I can think of off the top of my head, even though I got downscaled to level 50 for the raid, the gear reward that I would get for completing the raid would be level 100 because the reward would scale. But then, like, the thing that I would be worried about with Lotro in that regard is MMOs are so easy at creating... It's so easy when you're creating an MMO to create an instance where your game becomes so focused on clearing instances and raids that becomes your focus. Like, I remember for a long time, my focus in SWTOR became running flashpoints because I was leveling more efficiently. I was getting better gear more efficiently. And so, like, that became my focus. And I didn't do nearly as much questing around. And so, like, that's something where I really would be worried about Lotro turning into a instance grind, because one of the ways that Lotro really thrives is being a open landscape that's not an instance grind. So like I wouldn't want it to turn into an instance grind, but I also don't want, like, it's a slippery slope. It really is, because I don't want it to turn into an instance grind, but I don't want older content to completely disappear. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm just mostly word vomiting based on my thoughts and experiences from what I have gone through from playing other games, and just ways that I think endgame at least could be improved a little bit, just from what I've seen from watching Bloodborne, because like I've never gotten to endgame. I've never gotten to endgame, but I've watched people who have suffered through the grind of endgame. Another reason why I genuinely want to see scaling like this too, where, like I was talking about earlier, where players can scale down, is like, then like missions even. I can grab a friend that's a completely different level and run missions, and it's like worth it. You know, and it just scales to whoever is party leader. Versus trying to like have one of us be stupidly high level and it just isn't fun, you know? Like either one of us is stupidly overpowered and is killing things constantly, or the other person is stupidly underpowered and is dying constantly. Because this would be like a great way to be able to run missions, to just have a friend. Then you can just do things together, still run content, and then like I can go and do my own thing at my level if I want to, and they can go and do their own thing at their level if they want to, and we don't have to like try to like not make it work. And so like I would want to have something set up where like you could scale it to make it even across everybody who is playing. So SSG, if you're listening, make it happen. So that's kind of my thought on that one. That's really it. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. It's just, it's a theory. It's a thing that worked that has worked really well in FF14's favor, and I think other MMOs really should just adopt that. That would work really well.